There's one more way that I want to show you how to add texture to your designs, and this is not a way that I personally use very often, but you may find that you love this for whatever reason, so I wanted to definitely make sure to show you this. Illustrator has a whole bunch of patterns that are actually already built into the program, repeating patterns that you can use as is or that you can build into your designs. So what I'm going to do is select my background square, and I'm going to add another texture just as a seamless background, a background texture right on top of my background color. So I'm going to do Command C and Command F to make a direct copy on top of my background color. And then over in the swatches palette, if you click on this little drop down menu right here at the bottom left and scroll down to patterns, you'll see there are a few different options. And I encourage you to check out all of these, but I'm specifically going to go down to textures right now. And if yours show up a little bit smaller than mine, you can click on this menu to the right here and choose your thumbnail view. I think the default is small and it's kind of hard to see what's going on, so I always change mine to large. Just a quick little tip there. So with that new background square selected, I'm just going to scroll through these to show you what Illustrator has created for you that's available for you to use right in your designs. Your surface designs, your repeating patterns, your illustrations, whatever. These can be used in a whole variety of ways. So once you settle on one that you like that's kind of fun, but let's see, let's just keep scrolling through just to see. Ooh, that's pretty. Okay, I think I might do that one. So you can see that it's black right now, and you might be wondering if it's possible to change the color, and yes, it absolutely is, and there are a couple of different ways that you can do that. So if you click on the color wheel here, the recolor artwork tool, it can be really tricky for some reason to change the color of black or white. So you'll see it does this kind of half thing, and it's kind of hard to figure out how to actually make it change. So the way that I like to do this the most is to, let's see, I'm going to make a little square that's that dark shadow color since I don't have that in my palette. Okay, so I'll select that background, that new background texture, hold down my shift key, select that darker shadowy gray color, click on my recolor artwork tool, and then if I click right here and it says, do I want to add a new color to the current harmony? Yes. Then I can simply drag that gray onto the black. Sometimes it takes 2 tries. And that is very subtle, so I might actually make that a little bit darker and see how that looks. That is not much better. The black might actually work the best for me, or that might just not be the right pattern. So let's try a different one actually, just so I can make it so it's a little bit more noticeable what's actually going on. How about that one's kind of fun. Okay, so let's do the same thing. I'm gonna hold down my shift key, select that dark gray color, add that black color to my current harmony, and then drag that same gray color. So you can see it just changed. So now it's the same color as those shadowy flowers. You can also change that to whatever color you want. So if I wanted, for example, the turquoise, I could do the same thing. Just select both, drag the turquoise onto the gray. That's kind of pretty. So there's one more trick that I should show you though that can cause some frustration if you don't know why it's happening. So Illustrator doesn't like it when you use a pattern within a pattern like this. It won't actually let you make the swatch. So I'm going to select everything. My blank magic square is still in the back. I haven't deleted that. I know that's still there. So I've selected everything, and I'm going to click, hold, and drag it over. And it says that it's going to drop my new swatch there, but when I drop it, nothing happens. It's not making a new swatch. So if I go to Object, Pattern, Make, this pop-up will show up. Patterns cannot contain anything painted with a pattern. So this is not allowed in Illustrator. The way around this is to select your pattern and expand it. So you would go to Object, Expand, and try it again. And now it made the swatch. It just showed up right over here. So let me test that out just to make sure it is looking the way that I want it to. And there we go. Let me zoom in a little. It's kind of subtle. There we go. So if you run into that pattern cannot contain anything painted with a pattern problem, that can cause so much frustration. Let me tell you, if you don't know why that's happening, it can be really frustrating to figure out what's going on. It just means that you have something that's technically a pattern swatch, like another pattern that you've filled something with or something like that in your pattern, and the way around that is to simply expand it. So let me delete that. I'll show you one more thing. These patterns that Illustrator has created for you are also editable. So you can drag any swatch that you've created onto your artboard, including swatches that you've created yourself. So for example, there's the first version of my pattern. It can be kind of handy to take that out and work with it again if you need to. But say you really like this texture or this, this pattern, but you want it to be a little bit bigger, you can always drag it out of your swatches palette, hold down your shift key, make it a little bit bigger. You could even change the color here if you wanted to. So let's select a color there, and you could just do it that way. And we'll scroll back over. So now I've got my bigger swatch, different color, and then you would simply click, hold, drag it over to create that new swatch. And then you can simply, let's just delete that one since it's not a pattern anymore. That could cause some problems. So we'll just copy this background color again, Command C, Command F to paste it in front, and select that new one. And there we go. And then again, you can just click around through all the different ones that you've created that you want to try. And then don't forget that whenever you're happy with it, you want to go to Object, Expand, click OK. And then you would just simply make your new swatch, and it shows up right there. And if you do the Object, Pattern, Make method, you'll see that patterns cannot contain anything painted with a pattern pop-up box doesn't show up. So that will tell you that your pattern is functioning properly. And then you would just click Done, and all that crazy business will go away, and your swatch is here. And for good measure, we'll just test that out just to see how it looks. There we go. Those are exactly the same. Okay. So I have one more thing to show you. Oops. With regard to, let's see, one more thing to show you with regard to that texture bit. So something that can be kind of fun is to use those textures on parts of your design that are not just the background, but like for a shadow, for example. Maybe I'd like to use that same texture that I was using. Let me group that together, Command G, as the shadow shape instead of that solid gray color. So let me just, okay, so it's already that color, so that's fine. You can play around with the color, of course, change it maybe to that turquoise. That's sort of fun. I actually really like that. We can do the same thing here. So there's not a shadow already here, so let's just create one. We'll hold the Option key, and we'll cut, paste him back, and let's fill it with something different. Looks like I pasted it in the wrong spot, so I'm going to do Command X for cut, and we'll just do paste in back there. Maybe that's what I did wrong. There we go. Okay. Part of the fun of recording these videos is making mistakes, so you guys can see that. I still make mistakes when I'm doing this as well. Always learning. Okay, so that's kind of cool. Let me change it to that same turquoise. So we'll need to add that color in. I don't know why black and white don't show up when you use the Recolor Artwork tool, but If they don't, you can always just click there and it'll make that color show up. And kind of like that. You can move things around as needed. So I don't like that one as much though as that one. So you can always use your eyedropper tool too to get back to, or to choose something within your pattern, a color or a texture or something like that. I'm actually really liking how that looks. So I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to hold down my Option key and drag that down to make a copy. I'm going to fill it with that turquoisey texture. And you can see it's on top there, so I'm going to Command X, cut, Command B, paste in back. There we go. Okay, move that to the front. Command Shift, bracket key is the shortcut for that. And so you could, go on with that method as much as you wanted. You can also make little shapes like that that don't even overlap, like they're not a shadowy shape or anything at all if you wanted to. But let's Command X, Command B for paste in back. So that can be a really fun way to add yet another dimension to your designs. And let's do just a little bit more and then we'll test it out to see how that's looking. Let's do kind of like that one, overlapping the blue leaf there, just for something a little bit different. So you can see it's all about just kind of repeating shapes and yet making them feel different somehow. You can do a lot within a design with just a few motifs. It's kind of fascinating. Okay, let's do one more right here. And we'll do Command X, Command B for paste in back. Okay, let's test this one out. So we'll select I'm forgetting my important step. So I need to select everything that I filled with this pattern and go to Object, Expand. Okay, I'm going to do that again just for good measure. So let's select everything. Click, hold, and drag over to the swatches palette. And there is my new swatch. So if it doesn't work for whatever reason, you just saw me expand it twice. If you expand it once and it doesn't work, try expanding it again and then try remaking the swatch. For some reason, that sometimes does the trick. So let's test out that last swatch that we made. There we go. Let me zoom in a little bit. It's kind of tricky to see some of it. There we go. So I hope that was helpful. These things are really, really, really fun to play around with. You can make your own textures like that you can either save right to this basic graphics texture palette if you want to do that, or you can just save them on their own. You can always use your own patterns within patterns in this same manner as long as you remember to expand them so you don't run into that patterns within patterns problem. So this is super fun to play around with. You can end up with some really fun, unique, and often really surprising results by using these techniques. So I hope you'll give it a try and I can't wait to see what you come up with.